Hello, historians, and welcome back to another episode of Professor Davis Says, where anybody can be a historian. I'm Professor Davis. Now we have a special episode, yet it's a sensitive episode, and it's talking about the coronavirus and African Americans. So check out this breaking news clip right here.
This is, as I say, a new storyline emerging and a very important one that they're dealing with the United States. The new data coming out that shows African Americans and people of color are dying in the pandemic, and it's just a disproportionate amount.
Conditions that lead to a bad outcome with coronavirus, the things that get people into ICUs, that require intubation and often lead to death, they are just those very comorbidities that are unfortunately disproportionately prevalent in the African American population. So we're very concerned about that. It's very sad.
So let me get this straight. African Americans have been impacted disproportionately by this 2020 coronavirus. Newsflash, that is not breaking news, nor is it anything new. But since day one, since this country has been founded, even before that, during the days of colonial slavery, since racial slavery, that has been the case. African Americans have been the flag bearers of all types of disparities since day one. So let's not over sensationalize this story. Let's not put our emotions too much into this story. It is a news story, but it shouldn't be breaking news. All right. Again, looking back, and as a social historian, it's my job to counter that narrative and to change it, because history tells us from a social standpoint and all other areas that African Americans in every facet of American life have been immensely impacted by these disparities. And I'll give you one for an example of the housing disparities with redlining and how neighborhoods are gentrified and regentrified as numbers favor against African Americans becoming homeowners. Also, let me tell you about this disparity that we call the prison industrial pipeline, where 1 out of every 3 African American males are incarcerated or enwrapped into the prison industrial system compared to other minorities and other counterparts. Let's look at from a medical standpoint, where African American women, according to some old, outdated, racist medical journals, were not given the appropriate medications to be successful mothers and died during childbearing years. That's another issue on record. And of course, along those same outdated racist medical journals that medical students have read, it gives the indication that African Americans are better suited to sustain pain, which is a fallacy. I don't like pain. So again, these are all disparities. Another disparity with terms of medicine and medical areas was what happened with the Tuskegee syphilis experience. Between 1932 to 1973, African Americans by the hundreds were given syphilis intentionally. Okay, that's a disparity. And of course, that's pretty much that narrative. And let's not talk about benign neglect with New York Senator Patrick Moynihan, what he said nearly 50 years ago as it relates to the government turning its back to African Americans living in segregated neighborhoods, aka ghettos. So these are all numbers of disparities that African Americans have put up with, and not even talking about Jim Crowism and legal segregation, and also in terms of other disparities. So COVID-19 pretty much is a Band-Aid. That's right, it's a Band-Aid that has covered up a real issue of this country, which is racism, okay? Institutionalized racism. So we have to address that wound before we can fully talk about why African Americans have been heavily impacted with COVID-19 or the novel coronavirus. All right, so let's not get too much worked up into that. And so this is not a doom and gloom message. I just want to empower you, to encourage you, all Americans, but in particular, African Americans, okay? A new day is coming by us empowering each other, by us sharing this story, by us knowing our past. Okay, so again, know that we've overcome colonial slavery, know that we've overcome Jim Crowism, know that we've overcome plenty of things as it relates to disparities. Okay, we don't just survive, we thrive as Americans, but in particular, as African Americans. We helped build this country. And of course, There's many things that I can say, but I want you to all be encouraged by following these concerns as it relates to being survivors from the coronavirus. Many of you have the disease right now, and some of y'all are maybe have it and you don't know you have it, and you probably already recovered from it. And that's by God's favor. So again, we're going to be okay. I want you to be encouraged. Yes, practice all safe measures. Please practice, all right, social distancing and all these things, because if you're not feeling well, or if you are feeling well, you still might be sick, but we want to help protect other people moving forward in your family and in your community, okay? So again, this was a special message. Let's keep in mind that we are not just survivors, but we're thrivers. And African Americans have always found a way to persevere. So remember to like, hit the thumbs up, please subscribe to my channel. And remember, stay tuned and tune in next time. As always, Professor Davis says, God bless.